Serious, girls who have been guilted into going out with a nice guy. How did it go? Moved to another state with my sister and she made a few guy friends. One of them saw her with me and begged her to set up a date with me. I reluctantly agreed because she kept saying how sweet and nice he was. First date he kept gushing about how gorgeous I was and the fact that I was smart made it 100x better. He was going to make me his queen and take me around the world, but I have to pay for my own meal and his since he paid this time. I told him I was only interested in being friends and he begged my sister to get me to go out on another date. I declined and we moved back home and he came to visit my sister. While he was here he kept looking at me and telling my sister to just hook him up with me. It was my birthday and I kind of just rolled my eyes and was like, come on, I'll take you out too with my group of friends. At the bar, he was really into me and I was getting annoyed because he wouldn't let me relax and have fun. I told him I really only saw him as a friend and in front of everyone he yelled at me saying what a horrible person I am for leading him on, nothing but a whore, etc. I ended up crying because it was so embarrassing. My guy friends wanted to go talk to him after they heard what happened. My sister ran up to me and told me to go make him happy again. He came down to see me and this is how I was treating him. I just went home and the next morning my sister told me how sorry that guy was and he wanted me to come say bye to him at the airport. Needless to say I didn't. Your sister sounds like a terrible person. Sounds like she valued this guy more than your space and feelings. Yeah, at the time she was more interested in trying to get with his best friend and to do that was to give that guy what he wanted, even though I told her multiple times I didn't like him nor did I want to hang out with him and did it as a favor to her. I was too naive to know what was happening because I adored my sister and she's older than me, so I trusted her. We were friends in high school and most of college. It was one of those things where he was a friend of a friend, but we always went to the same parties, hung together in the same group and so on. The guys in the group would always say things like, "Oh man, you and Carl would be so great together. You should give him a shot." I'd kind of laugh it off because for a majority of the time I had a boyfriend. Eventually me and the boyfriend broke up, and about a week later Carl asked me out. I wasn't really ready, but I figured it was a first date and everyone had been pressuring me into giving this guy a chance, so I went. The whole evening was awkward. We just ordered a pizza and watched movies, which was what we did in our friend group anyways, but this guy would not stop staring. I felt like I couldn't even eat because I was under a microscope. The evening ended uneventfully, but then there was the aftermath. We kept texting and seeing each other in the friend group, and about a week later he asked when we can have another date. I told him that maybe I had rushed into things too fast and I just wasn't feeling any connection with him. I broke up with my girlfriend for you. Yup, dude found out I was single, dumped his girlfriend of 8 months just so he could ask me out to an awkward pizza date in his bedroom. The timely cherry on top is that they got back together. And apparently I'm tearing their marriage apart because she found a bunch of texts from me from 6 years ago and he admitted that he kept them cause he still likes me. I haven't seen him in 4 years. Edit for timeline. We are friends in high school, 10 years ago, and college, 5-6 years ago. While we are in college, he asks me out after dumping his girlfriend. Sometime after that they get back together and are married last year. Last week, a friend informs me that they are on the verge of divorce because she found texts he had saved, screenshots, from our college chats 5 or 6 years ago. Edit. Several people are commenting that I shouldn't have gone out with him and just told him I wanted to stay friends. The thread is literally girls guilted into going out with nice guy. Friend group sounds like some solid turds if they heard the full story and still say that. They were a bunch of dudes who wanted to get their buddy with the girl he was talking about non-stop. Of course my close friend told me after the fact, "Oh yeah, I knew that guy was crazy. But oh well." Edit. To be more clear, the boys in the group were all pushing me to date this guy. It was a girl who said the "oh crazy" line to me and I guess she assumed that I too was in the know about his weird behavior and wouldn't go out with him. I cringed so hard when he said he broke up with his girlfriend for you. Believe me, I did too. Like, dang dude, that was poor planning. He expected me to see it as a big romantic gesture. Throwaway account for this as don't want my story tracing back to me. I met him through online dating and after a couple of weeks of chatting online decided to cool things off as he was giving off a creepy, needy vibe that frightened me. He would ask about ex-boyfriends frequently and tell me that he would be good for me, ask sexual questions without any encouragement and want to know intimate details. I forgot all about him until he sent me a random message months later and apologized for his previous behavior which he blamed on a tricky breakup. Time passed and he seemed a new person so I gave in and met with him. Our first couple of dates seemed fine with just a few odd comments that I should have paid attention to. Then he started questioning where I was and who I was with, but again I just foolishly ignored this. The first time, and last time, I stayed at his we went out for a drink beforehand and he was judging me for having a couple of beers. When we got back to his I wasn't feeling up to anything sexual so told him firmly no and went to sleep. Later that night I woke up to him on top of me. I never confronted him about this. I just pretended I hadn't woke up and made my excuses the next day before blocking him from my life. I've never told anyone this before. I just wish I listened to my previous instinct and kept well away. Ain't that somewhere around You would be correct. I couldn't face writing the word down. Wasn't really a date. I was at a hiking trip with my sister and other people from our village when we met a group of guys, drinking and having fun. Was on German Father's Day, so it wasn't an unusual sight. For some reason my sister got into a talk with the guys and somehow got me and her invited for the party at one of the guys' house later. No big deal, we brought her boyfriend with us and were expecting some good time. My boyfriend was on a biking trip with his dad, so he couldn't come. We arrive and nobody else is there. Guy says they will all arrive later and we are early, 30 minutes after the time he told us to be there, and we start drinking, having fun and everything. He clearly has a thing for me, invites me to go on festivals with him. Sister's boyfriend tells me I would be stupid if I say no and he would totally be going. The others arrive and at some point the homeowner asks me to go out for a walk. He needs some air. We walk a bit and suddenly he turns around, telling me I am the love of his life, the girl meant for him, most beautiful, smart etc. he has ever seen. I was shocked and didn't know what to say except I have a boyfriend, you know. He said he doesn't care, we're clearly soulmates and then just kisses me out of nowhere. Tells me he would break up with his girlfriend for me, he never mentioned her before, and I should do the same. Luckily, my sister blacked out on the toilet and someone shouted at him for help unlocking the door, so we went back up. I took care of my sister, his girlfriend arrived, he pulled me aside and told me he would do it now, right here. I said no and he told me to take my sister and leave, what I did then. He messaged me on Facebook the next day that I was a whore and I lead him on and he almost broke up with his future wife for a BTCH like me. TLDR, met a guy, got invited to his house, he wanted me to break up with my boyfriend, he wanted to break up with his girlfriend, kiss me, called me soulmate and then a whore when I said no. All within 24 hours. Edit. Since a lot of you asked why would you let a stranger kiss you or if I told my then boyfriend about it, we did not make out and did not kiss him back. He smooched my lips after he approached me in the middle of a sentence at high speed and let go of me seconds later before I could even process what had happened. I can take care of myself and would have given him a good kicking, but I honestly was worried about my sister, even though I used the word luckily. At least I could make you laugh about that. Oh man. Absolutely should have shown his future wife this little monologue. For whatever reason this one really hit me. Dude is a psycho. All my friends said a guy from our group of friends was very nice, even though I felt like he was creepy. Went out once, thought I'd give it a chance, to be nice. Regretted it immediately. He asked me what I thought of being in a relationship with him, and when I said no I didn't want that, because I wasn't very interested and we had only been friends before this, he said he was disappointed with my answer and expected something more worthy of him. He said that saying no was disrespectful. Big yikes. We met once after that because he surprise visited me a few months later. He asked me to ruffle through my hair because he wanted to feel my scalp, treated me like a dog and wanted me to sit next to him so he'd be closer to me. He also thought it was a great idea to mention that he sometimes hears voices in his head and has dreamt of killing people. I rushed him out of my apartment onto the street. I just wanted him to be gone. I checked my keys 5 times to see whether he took any. I've had to see him a couple times since then, and he is the most creepy, socially inept person I've ever met. He's so aggressive and impulsive. I am truly afraid he will hurt or kill someone someday, and I'm still afraid that that person could be me. Edit. This blew up. Yes, he still is in my circle of friends. For some reason my guy friends laughed it off and don't see him as much of a threat to anyone, let alone me. I avoid him as much as I can, and never see him in groups of less than 5 people. Change the locks for a good measure. Always a good opportunity to upgrade to better locks too. He was genuinely nice and I thought I was being too picky and maybe I could see this through if I took the effort of getting to know him. But every time I offered a contradictory point of view on any generic topic of discussion, he would proceed to casually mock my appearance, attire and my personality, in retaliation to my disagreement. That was the last date, obviously. Edit. He might not have been genuinely nice. I think I once slept with the same guy. Disagree on anything? Your opinion doesn't matter because I've seen you naked. You're just my duck buddy. You're moderately unattractive right now. You have liberal views. I was completely smitten with him at the time before I realized I didn't need to take such garbage from someone like that. My story definitely isn't half as bad as what others have posted, but my experience did send me into a hole of recluse crappiness. He liked me based on my taste of music, not actually for me. At the time, 15 years ago, hardstyle trance was still underground and not like it is now in Australia. I happened to be the first girl he had met who liked this music, so he thought I was cool and wanted to date me. He guilted me into dating him by being depressed and sulking, saying I wasn't even giving us a chance, that it could be something fruitful but we would never know. Big red flag should have been when his idiot friends were contacting me on ICQ. For you youngins, it was how us oldies communicated with each other back in the 1880s via instant messaging, trying to sell him to me. It was all the typical crap of he's a great guy, he hasn't eaten since you turned him down. He doesn't even laugh anymore and all of the usual crap. Being naive me, I thought why not? He did seem to make a good case when he said I was denying us a chance. He definitely proved his worth. After a week of dating he pulled out all of the romantic stuff no guy ever had, even until this day. We went to different high schools. He skipped his final class of school every day to pick me up from my school and drove me home. Half an hour drive to get to my house, then another half an hour drive for him to get to his home. Bought me no occasion flowers, wined and dined me. I really felt stupid for turning him down at first. A month goes by and he ends our relationship over the phone. But by this time I thought he was the best thing ever, despite not actually having anything in common. I didn't even find him funny, but just the way he treated me made me feel like this is what love is meant to be. He just said he wasn't feeling it anymore. I found out the day after from a friend that there was a new girl at their school and he thought she was hot stuff, so his thought process was to drop me, woo her and then live a happy life together. Turns out new girl didn't like him and he and his entourage tried the same guilt trip with her. She was a lot smarter than me to continually turn him down. At the time, I felt like I had a huge hole in my heart. I had never been so spoilt with love in my life. I didn't know how to handle the pain, so I wrote poems and listened to sad music. I remember putting Vertical Horizon, Everything You Want on repeat. I felt stupid to tell my friends about the situation in fear of them saying, wasn't that the creep who tried to win you over and you weren't interested in him anyway? After a few months of the idiot failing to win the new girl over, guess who came crawling back? I never told him that I knew about his crush on the new girl and his failed attempts of winning her over. He said shit like, I realized how much I missed love you in the last few months. I didn't know what I was thinking when I broke up with you. It was at that moment I realized that it wasn't losing him that I was upset over. It was the feeling of being loved and being spoiled that I missed. I just said, well, the last few months have made me lose feelings for you like you said you had for me. It still sucked and took me a long time to get over the short-lived month of feeling loved. Took me even longer to get over the fact that I was hurt over a bloody con man who didn't even like me for me. Edit. Holy moly. Thank you for all of the messages. I didn't think anyone would read my response being a massive long roll of text. This was 15 years ago and this story no longer affects me. but I still remember the emotional roller coaster ride like it was yesterday. It wasn't my first love, but it was the first time I felt so extremely hurt and felt grown up, even for a teenager. I have dated since and am currently in a healthy long-term relationship. We all live and learn. There is a sequel to this event, story number 2. After this breakup, I confided in a nice guy friend, Fred. Not even going to hide his name cause this guy is a stage 1000 weirdo. I told Fred how ripped off I felt and how I could not absolutely believe that I could not get over a relationship lasting only a month when I handled the breakup of my 3-year relationship a lot better. He listened to all of my sorrows and said that I will get back on my feet someday. I didn't know he meant that he was the one to prop me back on my feet. I told him of the dirty tactics ex-boyfriend used to get me and how uneasy it had made me knowing he was a wreck because of me denying our potential relationship. So Fred thought it would be genius to ask me out the exact same way ex-boyfriend did. Gee, who would have thought that would work, again. Fool me once, am I right? At first when I said no, he said he was only joking. He just wanted to see how I would react to his demands of dating me. Yeah, okay, I'll just let that slide. He got creepier by saying things like stripper pink pants. How do you know when you love someone? I can't remember how I dealt with that situation, but I remember feeling very awkward. Anyway, he would say these things and let me stew in it. On the very last day of school, he wanted to hang out with me, which sounded like fun. Little did I know he had plans to confess his undying love for me. He leant in for a kiss, which I blocked with my hand, asking WTF he was doing. He sat there tearfully weeping, wanting to know why I would submit to one guy's demands of dating them but not his. I had enough of his shit by this time, told him not to talk to me anymore. He did the exact opposite of that. Would call my home phone a lot, send me a lot of emails, Yahoo days. And rocked up to my house once, or twice. Unannounced. My mum played the role quite well of stripper pink pants is in trouble and can't talk to boys. So he enlisted his female cousin to contact me instead. I remember her telling me Fred is really upset you won't give him a chance and said if you don't talk to him in the next 10 minutes, he will drive off a cliff. Okay, whatever dude, I've got other things to do. Long story short, he did not drive off a cliff, and after he was done stalking my friends and I, he eventually gave up and haven't heard from him since. The date wasn't too bad, although he kept changing pretty much every single sentence he said so it would fit my interest. Something like I like ice cream, cool, I like frozen yogurt, oh yeah, that's what I meant. Ice cream is nice but frozen yogurt is amazing, and so on for 4 hours straight. At the end I had no idea what he was actually like. He also kissed me in the most awkward way possible. I guess he thought it was going to be romantic and spontaneous, but it wasn't. Then kissed me again when he walked me to the train station. He hugged me so hard I couldn't breathe and started making weird noises, kind of like what some people do during heavy, pre-sex makeout sessions, except it was a rather quick kiss in a public place. Started texting me before I even got home, and when I didn't answer, got upset. Told him he was nice but I don't think we'd work out. Said it's cool, asked if we can stay friends. Silly me, I said yes. We kept talking for about a month, during which he very friendly kept checking if I had slept with someone else and making sure I know how much of a sex god he is. You know, I once even made my lesbian friend come super hard. This is also the time I met my current BF and was meeting a bunch of new people at uni, so we'd talk less and less each week. Then one day he asked me out. I said I wasn't sure if he was completely fine with us being just friends, so that wouldn't be appropriate. He went on this massive rant about how he'd actually been seeing someone else in that time, but they broke up shortly before that, how he's so over me and didn't even think I'm that hot anymore, and how nothing would happen. I said no, because I was broke and couldn't fully enjoy myself while worrying about not spending too much. We were supposed to go to a Metallica concert. Apparently his best friend had spent £120 on his ticket, but then last minute found something better to do. But he promised he'd take care of everything and we could chill at his place with pizza and some films, as friends. I said I could consider the concert, but there's no way I'd stay over. I mentioned texting someone else to see if they would be fine with me sleeping over at theirs afterwards. He jokingly asked if it's someone I'm sleeping with and I said it's none of his business. Then he told me how much of a B I was for sleeping with other people and not sleeping with him. Said it's so unfair that he knew me so much better but he felt like other people had more rights to me than him and that we kissed and he didn't expect me to be this slutty. BTW, I did not want to kiss him. It was just so random. I felt him making out with me before I even realized what his intentions were and stopped it rather quickly. He called me a few more names, said he is such a nice guy and didn't deserve to be treated like that, and we never spoke again. Fun times. People who don't know what nice guy means should read your story, because that guy pretty much checked all the boxes. I was a college freshman. First week of school, I was in my dorm hangout area going through the calendar on my phone to add exams to my schedule. I didn't realize that nice guy was looking over my shoulder as I was doing so. He goes, "I see you don't have plans on Saturday, we're going to breakfast." I continually objected and said I just hadn't gotten around to adding anything to it yet. He wouldn't leave me alone about it all week, so eventually I agreed to go on Saturday. I was purposely on my worst behavior in an attempt to repulse him because clearly, my opinion didn't matter otherwise. He ended the date by calling his mom, telling her that he met his future bride, that we were going to give her grandchildren. He handed the phone to me, so I straight up told his mother that I had no interest and was only there because he wouldn't leave me be, and apparently acting like a barnyard animal wasn't enough of a turn off. Mom laughed and said sounds like my boy. He would sit on the couch outside my dorm door to bombard me whenever I tried to go anywhere, followed me to and from classes for 2 months, and tried to befriend my roommate to get closer to me before moving on to a new target. She ended up with a restraining order against him. Edit for clarification, this was not my first interaction with this guy. He lived in my small dorm building where we did multiple getting to know you exercises that week. He helped a ton of people move in and was a self-proclaimed nice guy like the title had in quotes. Most people's first impression of him was that he was nice enough, but a little off. I clearly completely agree that dude was creepy AF. I just posted in a hurry and left out some background. Edit. Since nice guy was in quotes in the OP, I thought it was clear that we weren't dealing with actual nice guys, hence why I thought my story was relevant. If it were asking a story about going on a date with an actual nice person, I don't think it would be an interesting AskReddit question. Hey, thanks for making it all the way to the end, you absolute Chad. You're a legend. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to like and subscribe for more of Reddit's top content. I'll see you in the next video, you beautiful people.